Ancient Egypt was one of the most elaborate and distinct cultures that we have ever seen in the ancient world. The inhabitants of the Nile River Valley created a land of unbelievable art and structures that seem almost impossible to imagine even with today's modern technology. Because of this, the ancient Egyptians left us with an incredible number of mysterious artifacts to attempt to interpret for clues about that powerful culture that reigned supreme for thousands of years. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 mysterious Egyptian discoveries and what they might teach us about the incredible culture of the ancient Egyptians. The Tully Papyrus. While it is no secret that many mysterious and almost otherworldly events occurred in ancient Egypt, most do not think of UFO sightings being among such events. However, the Tully Papyrus would seem to prove otherwise. Found in an antique shop in Cairo and then copied out rather than being purchased by Alberto Tully in 1933, the claims contained in the scroll made waves throughout the world. Although the copy was then recopied several times over before translation, making its accuracy as well as authenticity suspect, the papyrus nevertheless took off among believers as an ancient record of flying saucers and some of the best evidence of alien life. The beginning lines read, as translated by R. Cedric Leonard, "In the year 22 of the 3rd month of winter, 6th hour of the day, it was found that a strange fiery disk was coming in the sky. It had no head. The breath of its mouth emitted a foul odour. Its body was 1 rod in length and 1 rod in width. It had no voice." The translation then continues, saying, "After several days had passed, they became more numerous in the sky than ever. They shined in the sky more than the brightness of the sun, and extended to the limits of the 4 supports of heaven. It was after the evening meal when the discs ascended even higher in the sky to the south. Fish rained down from the sky, a marvel never before known since the foundation of the country, and it was ordered that the event will be recorded for His Majesty in the annals of the House of Life, to be remembered forever." Analysis of the complete text of these translations made scholar Prince Boris de Rashevitz suspect that the original papyrus was part of the annals of Thutmose II, an idea that immediately took off within the UFO community, although there is nothing that mentions Pharaoh Thutmose by name. However, if Prince Boris is to be believed, the papyrus text would then date back to around 1400 BC. At this point in ancient Egypt, the highly advanced civilization was incredibly adept at understanding the workings of astronomy and was familiar and knowledgeable about celestial happenings to such an extent that we can reasonably assume that, if the papyrus is indeed legitimate, what they were seeing was not just an astronomical display that they did not understand, and so attributed to be unexplainable fiery disks. Unfortunately, several aspects call the authenticity of the papyrus into question, not the least of which is the fact that the actual existence of the papyrus itself is only alleged. What we have based our assumptions on is a modern-day translation of an Egyptian document that has never been rediscovered, or even confirmed to have ever existed in the first place. The authenticity of the entire operation is hinged entirely on the reliability of Alberto Tully and his copied-out version of the papyrus. Until the original document is found and its authenticity confirmed, we will likely never know truly whether or not the ancient Egyptians really did witness a fleet of UFOs flying across the Nile River Valley. Therefore, the search continues. Tomb of the Silver Pharaoh Susen I. The tomb of King Tutankhamun is well known as one of the most lavish tombs of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh yet discovered. However, his is not the only example of a decadent burial place. Susen I, a little-known pharaoh who ruled from 1036 BC to 939 BC, ruled during the unstable and divided Third Intermediate Period in Egypt. A member of the 21st dynasty, he controlled a weakened Lower Egypt and was thought to not hold much significant power. Because of this, historians generally neglected the potential location of Susen's burial place in the search for more prominent tombs, an assumption that turned out to be entirely false. In 1939, French archaeologist Pierre Montet stumbled upon the pharaoh's tomb entirely by accident. Nobody had even considered that there could be such a major tomb in the area, and what was inside the tomb was even more astonishing. Decadent jewels, gold, precious metals, and ritual objects were only secondary to the totally unique, exquisitely detailed silver sarcophagus that contained the mummified body of the underappreciated ruler. However, even after the discovery of such a magnificent tomb, the importance of Susen was once again overlooked as World War II broke out and the riches were all but forgotten as Europeans turned towards the conflict threatening their homeland. Once further study of the artifacts and components of the tomb could be resumed, what archaeologists found let them know that Susen was not as insignificant as they might have once thought. The most striking element of the discovery was the silver sarcophagus, which remains the only example of a silver sarcophagus ever found and was crafted with such detail and skill that many consider it to be one of the most outstanding examples of ancient Egyptian metalworking ever discovered. While gold was considered the flesh of the gods and was readily available in Egypt, silver was regarded as the bones of the gods and had to be imported from far-off lands, making it even more valuable than gold. The amount of silver used in the sarcophagus makes it easily one of the most expensive items ever found inside of an ancient Egyptian tomb. Fine metalworking also required a substantial amount of manpower, especially when crafting numerous or very large objects. Based off of the amount of luxurious silver items and the sarcophagus found in the tomb, archaeologists know that Susen was much more powerful than at first believed, possessing both the immense wealth and manpower to be buried in such state. Susen ruled for over 50 years, an incredible feat to retain power for so long in the time of intense political upheaval and war in which he was alive. This lengthy stint indicates that he was likely an incredibly influential ruler, who was able to control the flow of power, wealth, and loyalties in Lower Egypt during his rule, making it possible for him to be buried in a luxurious tomb like no other yet discovered. All told, the wealth and luxury found in the tomb of Susen is enough to rival even the tomb of famous King Tut, making archaeologists and historians realize that perhaps they were wrong in writing off the Silver Pharaoh as insignificant in the history books. 13 mysterious mummies discovered in Egyptian well. Ancient Egyptians were known for the incredible care, craftsmanship, and wealth that they invested in the burial of their rulers. However, not all residents of Egypt were quite so elaborate in the locations of final resting places. Recently, 13 ancient coffins were discovered stacked inside a burial well in the ancient necropolis of Saqqara. Although they have not yet been opened to discover who might lay inside, the 2,500-year-old wooden coffins are so well preserved that their intricately painted, multicolored designs are still visible. They also still retain their original seals, indicating that grave robbers or weather has likely left the contents of the coffins entirely undisturbed. Saqqara is an expansive desert necropolis and pyramid complex that borders the first Egyptian capital of Memphis and is the site of many ancient burial locations, including the famous Step Tomb, which is the oldest complete stone building complex known in history, as well as a number of other mastaba tombs, several of which belonged to pharaohs. Although these coffins were not found in a magnificent pyramid, their incredibly well-preserved state will provide valuable information about the lives and fortunes of those who were not wealthy enough to secure such a lavish final resting place. The burial well in which the discovery was made descended 40 feet into the ground, with the coffins stacked on top of one another. Archaeologists hope that as they excavate the site further, they will find even more pristine preserved coffins buried in niches lining the well. During the time that the inhabitants of these coffins would have been alive, Egypt was under Persian rule as part of the Persian Empire, who invested largely in revitalizing the tumultuous empire, strengthening the economy and allowing the country to once again begin to thrive. These efforts also likely helped to preserve some aspects of Egyptian culture that might have otherwise been lost to war and upheaval. Hopefully, these finds can give us a glimpse into what life was like under Persian rule. Because of the large number of pharaohs and prominent citizens of the early 1st and 2nd ruling dynasties buried in and around Saqqara, as well as animals and other human remains, finds in this region are carefully excavated and studied for the valuable information that they may contain regarding ancient Egyptian life and civilization. And these carefully preserved coffins are sure to be a treasure trove of information. It seems that the discoveries made about ancient Egypt are never-ending, and that we will be uncovering incredible wonders for years to come. In the meantime, we must continue examining and attempting to interpret what we do discover so that we can begin to understand that amazing empire that dominated the Nile River Valley for so long. But what do you make of these Egyptian discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.